All right. So you'll see that I have a block there on my mat. And my favorite way to sit for meditation or for pranayama, and we're actually going to start with pranayama. If you're not familiar with that, it is just breathing practices from yoga. So I like to take a block like this and I place it in between my ankles. And then I just sit back on the block. So that way my hips are up, my knees are lower than my hips, and that puts your spine in a more optimal position. Because sometimes when we sit on, like if we're sitting on our mat and we're sitting cross-legged and we notice that our knees are way up high, higher than our hips, sometimes that can bother the low back. So this is my favorite way to sit. So we're going to start. So just take a moment and sit up nice and tall and close your eyes. And just as you would if you were lying back on your mat, just start to get a sense of how your body feels this morning. And you can make any adjustments that you need to make. If you feel like you need to change your sitting position, or if it's just too uncomfortable to be seated and you'd rather lie down, that's fine too. But for the breathing practice that we'll be doing, seated is a better option. And once your body is comfortable, start to take your attention to your breath. You don't have to try to change the breath just yet. Just kind of notice your natural breathing pattern right now. Maybe notice as you're breathing whether you are unconsciously holding any tension around the belly or around the hips. And if you are, see if you can just release that. Just let the body relax as much as possible. And then just start to practice that deep belly breathing. Inhaling through the nose, let the belly expand. And then as you exhale through the nose, let the belly kind of contract back. But don't force that contraction, just let it happen naturally. And then if you like, you can start to practice Ujjayi breath. And that's also known as ocean breath. And that is made just by constricting the back of the throat a little bit so that your breathing starts to sound like a soft snore. Some people like to think of it as the sound of the ocean. But by making that constriction at the back of the throat, it slows the breath, both the inhale and the exhale. And it also warms the breath. And as we warm the breath, we also warm the body. The wonderful thing about practicing in your own home, you can know that none of us can hear you, none of us can see you. So you don't have to feel self-conscious about what your breath feels like or sounds like. It's a good time to experiment with pranayama. And this very simple technique, this very simple breathing technique is something that you can use anytime you start to feel stressed. When we close our eyes, when we focus on our breath, we start to shift from the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight response, into parasympathetic, the rest and digest response. From here, we're going to start to practice alternate nostril breathing, also known as square breathing. And I'm going to explain it to you, and then you can start to practice with me. So for alternate nostril breathing, we just take our hand in front of our face and we'll bend the index finger and the middle finger down. And then you take your thumb to one side of your nose and your ring finger and maybe even your pinky to the other side. And we're going to be switching back and forth, breathing through alternate nostrils. And you will block off the nostril where the bone in your nose stops. So we're not way down low around the opening of the nostril, but up a little bit higher. So we start breathing in through the left nostril. So you'll inhale through the left nostril and then block the left nostril and exhale through the right nostril. Then you inhale through the right nostril, block that off, open the left nostril and exhale. That's one round of alternate nostril breathing. So you can start to practice now if you like. And I'll talk you through a few rounds and then I'm going to let you go on your own. So just starting by blocking the right nostril, inhale, nice and slow through the left nostril. You might pause at the top and switch. Exhale through the right nostril. Inhale through the right nostril. And then switch, bring the thumb to the right nostril, open the left nostril, exhale through the left. Inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Exhale left. I'll talk you through one more time. Inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Exhale left. Continue a few more rounds at your own pace. And it's okay if you lose track or get confused, just pick up right where you left off. This pranayama technique is especially beneficial in the morning. It balances our hormones and it balances the energy channels of the body. Calms the mind. Let's do maybe just one more round. Yogis say that when you become really adept at this practice, you can do it without the use of your hands, without blocking the nostrils, and just inhale through the left nostril without having to block the right. So that's an interesting concept to think about. The next time you exhale through your left nostril, just let your breathing return to normal. Just a slow, steady breath. Maybe come back to Ujjayi breath if you like. And then from your seated position, start to make your way into a kneeling position. So once you're in your kneeling position, on your inhale, start to sweep your arms up overhead, lengthen through the torso. As you exhale, you're going to bring your arms down slowly, lower your hips towards your heels, bring your arms to the small of your back, and if you can, lower your forehead to the mat. On your inhale, you'll rise up, sweep the arms overhead, come back to your kneeling position. Exhale, arms down. You can bring the hands to the small of your back, lower your hips towards your heels, tuck your chin to your chest, lower the forehead to the mat. Inhale, rise up. Exhale your arms down, tuck the chin. Start to come down into your child's pose. Inhale, rise up. We'll do that one more time. Exhale, making your way into your child's pose slowly. And then we're going to pause here in child's pose. Keeping the hands at the small of your back. Take a few breaths here. Focus your attention on your low back. If there's any tension there, see if you can release it with an exhale. And then very slowly, start to come up and sit back onto your heels. On your inhale, sweep the arms overhead. And then as you exhale, lower your right hand to the mat and side bend to the right. Inhale back to center, reach both arms overhead. Exhale your left hand down and side bend. Inhale, reach up. Exhale to the right. We're going to pause here this time. Take a couple breaths. Keep your chest open. On your inhale, rise up, reach both arms overhead. Exhale, left hand down, side bend to the left. We'll take a couple breaths here. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. And then exhale, bring your palms down in front of you and come up into tabletop. We'll start to move through a few cat-cows. On your inhale, drop your belly, open your chest, tilt the chin up. Exhale as you round your spine, tuck your chin to your chest. Inhale, drop the belly to cow. If I'm going too slow for you and you want to speed up a little bit, that's fine. Exhale, round your spine, tuck your chin to your chest. Inhale, drop the belly to cow. Exhale, round your spine to cat. One more, inhale to cow. Exhale to cat. Take a little pause here in your cat pose. You can press your palms down. Really feel some space opening up between your shoulder blades. And then relax around the shoulders, come back to a more neutral tabletop. And then go ahead and sway the hips side to side a couple times. And then maybe circle the hips. So great big circles. And let's reverse, go the other way. And then come back to a neutral tabletop. Go ahead and walk your hands out in front of you, and then slowly lower your forehead and your shoulders toward the mat. Come into puppy pose. So we're letting the shoulders open up here, just preparing for downward dog. You might take a couple deep inhales here and let your rib cage expand. One more breath here. And then start to lift your head and chest. Walk your hands about halfway back to where they would be for tabletop. And then you'll shift your shoulders forward so that they're over your wrists. On your exhale, come down to the mat. Inhale into a baby cobra and really focus on opening through the upper part of the chest, kind of pulling the shoulders away from each other. Exhale down to the mat. Press up onto your hands and knees. Exhale back to child's pose. Inhale, come forward, shift the shoulders over the wrists. Exhale down to the mat. Inhale, baby cobra. Draw the shoulder blades towards each other. Exhale down to the mat. Press up onto your hands and knees. Exhale back to child's pose. Inhale, come forward. We're going to do this one more time. Exhale down to the mat. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale and release. Press up onto your hands and knees. Exhale back to child's pose. And then inhale back up onto your hands and knees and set up your tabletop with your shoulders over your wrists, your knees under your hip joints. Tuck your toes under and lift your hips to downward dog. So we'll take a few moments here to loosen up. So if you like, you can sway your hips side to side. Or maybe pedal out your feet, pressing one heel at a time down towards the mat. And when you're ready, you can rise up onto your toes. And then as you exhale, lower your heels toward the mat. Take a breath here. Relax the muscles in your neck. On your next inhale, rise up onto your toes, bend your knees, walk to the top of the mat, and come to an easy forward fold. So keep a bend in the knees. Relax the back of the neck. Let your head just hang heavy. And if there's still some tension there in the neck, you might nod your head. Or maybe shake your head side to side. Nice and slow. Couple more breaths here. See if you can straighten your legs, maybe just a little bit. Still keeping a bend in the knees, but maybe just not quite as deep. On your next inhale, come to a halfway lift. You can place your palms on your shins, lengthen and flatten your back. And then exhale, softening your knees, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift again. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. On your next inhale, slowly start to rise up. Sweep your arms overhead. Keep your knees bent until you get all the way up. And then exhale, soften the knees and forward fold. Inhale, rise up, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, one more time, rise up. Exhale and forward fold. On your inhale, come to a halfway lift, long, flat back. And exhale as you forward fold. Bend your knees, plant your hands, step back to plank. Lower the knees and the tops of the feet. Exhale down to the mat. Inhale to cobra. So we're going to take a couple breaths here. If full cobra feels like too much for you, you can take baby cobra again, or you can even rest in crocodile pose. On your next exhale, slowly lower down to the mat. Press up into tabletop, tuck your toes under, lift your hips to down dog. We're going to take 3 deep breaths here. Focus on lengthening from the crown of the head to the hips, from the hips to the heels. We're going to start to move through a few sun salutations, pick up the pace a little bit. But if you want to continue to practice slowly, feel free to do so. On your next inhale, rise up onto your toes, bend your knees. You can step or walk to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Inhale, rise up, extended mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Bend the knees, plant the hands, step back to plank. Exhale, full or modified chaturanga. So you can either lower down with your knees up, or you can lower the knees and then come down. Inhale into upward dog or cobra. And then you'll make your way back into down dog in whatever way you like. You can roll through tabletop or just lift the hips up and back. You can throw in a plank in between. I'm going to talk you through it a couple more times. Inhale, rise up on the toes, bend the knees, step or walk to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Inhale, rise up. You might even look up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Bend the knees, plant the hands, step back to plank. Exhale, full or modified chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog or cobra. And exhale to down dog. Inhale, rise up on the toes, bend the knees, step or walk to forward fold. You can always rest in child's pose or tabletop if you need a little break. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Bend the knees, plant the hands, step back to plank. Now you can either take your chaturanga and your upward dog or cobra, or you can go right to down dog from here. So the bottom part of this, I'll refer to as a vinyasa. Vinyasa just means to link together in a special way. Let's do one more. Inhale, rise up on the toes, bend the knees, step or walk to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Bend the knees, plant the hands, step back to plank, and either take a vinyasa or go right to down dog. So let's pause here in our downward dog. Maybe take 3 deep breaths. When you're ready, step your left foot forward. And we're going to set up for warrior one. So planting the back foot. Inhale, you can come hands to the knee first. Inhale, arms overhead. Square off the hips a little bit more, so you might shift your right hip forward, left hip back. Exhale your hands down to the mat, step back to downward dog. When you're ready, step your right foot forward. Set up the back foot for warrior one. Coming up nice and slow at first. We'll pick up the pace next time. Inhale, sweep the arms up, square off the hips. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step the right foot back to downward dog. Inhale, rise up on the toes, bend the knees, step or walk to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Bend the knees, step the right foot back, setting up for warrior one again. This time, if you like, inhale, just sweep on up to warrior one. Squaring off the hips again, keeping the legs strong. If your legs are stable enough, see if you can lift your ribs away from your hips, and then maybe take a tiny little back bend. Exhale, hands down to the mat. Step the right foot forward and forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, long, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Bend the knees, step the left foot back, setting up for warrior one. Inhale, rise up. Couple breaths here. Maybe noticing a stretch on the left hip flexor. If you like, lift and extend the spine. Maybe a tiny little back bend. That's going to increase that stretch on the hip flexor. Exhale, hands down to the mat. Step the left foot forward and forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, long, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up, extended mountain. Bring your palms together and then exhale them down to your heart. Just take a couple breaths here. So maybe toe heel the feet apart so that your ankles are under your hip joints. Maybe notice your pulse. On your next inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Bend your knees, step your right foot back, keep the heel up this time. So we're here in a runner's lunge. The back leg is nice and long. Lengthen all along the back of the body. Move your shoulders away from your ears. Go ahead and lower your right knee and the top of the right foot. Bring your hands to your knee and lean in. Slow, steady breath here. Bring your hands to the mat and then shift your hips back, straightening the left leg. You can keep a little bend in the knee if you need it. On your inhale, lengthen your spine. And then as you exhale, slowly start to fold over the left leg. So just coming down to where you feel a stretch that feels beneficial to you. So nothing should feel painful. On your next inhale, lift the head and chest, lean into a low lunge. You can bring your hands to your knees again, or you can sweep the arms overhead. Couple breaths here. And as you exhale, bring your hands down to the mat. Shift back, tuck the back toe under, lift the back knee and step forward. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Bend the knees, step the left foot back. We're going to pause here in the runner's lunge again. Lengthening through the left leg, maybe reaching the left heel towards the back of the mat. Go ahead and lower your left knee and the top of the left foot. And bring your hands to your right knee. Lean in. Keep your spine nice and tall. Crown of the head should be facing the ceiling. Go ahead and bring your hands down to the mat, shift your hips back, start to straighten the right leg just as much as it's comfortable for you. So some of us will be able to straighten that leg, others need to keep a bend in the knee. Inhale, lengthen the spine, and then exhale as you slowly fold. Keep your breath slow and steady. On your next inhale, lift the head and chest, bend the right knee, lean into your low lunge. You can either bring your hands to your knee or you can sweep the arms overhead. Take a couple breaths here. On your exhale, lower your hands to the mat. Tuck the back toe under, lift the back knee, step forward and forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Inhale, rise up to extended mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Bend the knees, plant the hands, step back to plank. You can take a vinyasa here, or you can go right to down dog. Take a couple breaths here in your downward dog. And then if you like, on your next inhale, float the left leg up into three-legged dog. Go ahead and rise up onto the ball of your right foot. As you exhale, start to step or sweep the left leg through, plant the foot between the hands. From your runner's lunge, bring your hands to your knee. And then if you like, you can inhale your arms overhead into crescent pose. On your next exhale, open to warrior two. Take a couple breaths here. Slowly straighten your left leg. Shift your hips back, reach forward, and tilt your torso to triangle. So in triangle, try to keep your chest open. Avoid the tendency to kind of collapse forward. So it's almost as if you're being pressed between two panes of glass. If you like, press down a little more through your right foot and then reach your right arm overhead. You'll get a bigger side stretch. Look down towards your left ankle if your right arm is overhead. On your inhale, rise up. And then exhale back to warrior two. Turn your left palm over, inhale, reverse your warrior. Exhale back to warrior two. Take a deep inhale and exhale to side angle. So you have a few options here. You can lower your left forearm to the top of the left thigh and reach your right arm up. If you have a little more flexibility, you can reach your hand down to the mat or to a block. And then if you want a bigger side stretch, reach your right arm overhead. See if you can create a straight diagonal line from your right ankle all the way up through the tips of the right fingers. On your next inhale, rise up, coming back to warrior two. And then we're going to just cartwheel the hands to the mat, step the right foot forward and forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Inhale, rise up, extended mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Bend the knees, plant the hands, step back to plank. Take a vinyasa or go right to down dog. Couple breaths here in downward dog. And then when you're ready, you can float your right leg up into three-legged dog. Take a couple breaths here. Rise up onto the ball of the left foot. As you exhale, step or sweep your right leg through, plant the foot between the hands. From your runner's lunge, bring your hands to your knee. And then maybe inhale the arms overhead. Couple breaths here. On your next exhale, open to warrior two. As you're looking out over your right hand, you might peek down and make sure you can see the big toe of your front foot. Slowly straighten the right leg. Shift your hips back, reach forward, and tilt the torso to triangle. So maybe your hand is on the top of your shin, that's fine. Really doesn't matter how far down that hand goes. What we're really looking for here is a stretch on the inner right thigh and on the left side of the torso. And if you want to accentuate that stretch on the side body, you can reach the left arm overhead. Press down a little more through the left foot. Maybe take a look down at the right ankle. On your inhale, start to rise up. Exhale to warrior two. Turn your right palm over and reverse your warrior. Exhale to warrior two. Take a deep inhale. And then exhale to side angle, whatever variation you took on the other side. So either forearm on the top of the thigh or reaching down to the mat or a block. Maybe extended side angle, reaching the left arm overhead. Inhale, come up to warrior two. And then as you exhale, we're going to cartwheel the hands to the mat again. Step the right foot back to plank. Take a vinyasa or go to down dog. Once you're in your downward dog, go ahead and lower your knees to the mat. Keep your toes together, take your knees out wide. Sink your hips back to your heels and come into child's pose. Take a few deep breaths here. If your shoulders feel like they could use a rest, you might sweep your arms back by your sides and let your hands rest by your feet. On your next inhale, lift your head and chest. Come into tabletop. We're going to practice pigeon pose, and I'm going to cue it from tabletop, but if you'd rather get there from downward dog, that's fine. So we're going to start stepping the right foot up, toe heel it to the left side of the mat. Bring your left hand to the out, well, now it's the inside of the left foot. So planting the palms, lift the back knee, open your right hip, and very slowly lower down onto the mat. We're gonna stay up nice and tall for a moment. So just kind of getting the hip used to being in this position. Lengthen through the spine. And then if you're comfortable enough, you can lower down onto your forearms. If you like, you can flex your right foot. That'll help protect the knee. And if you're comfortable enough here and you'd like to go a little bit farther, you can reach your arms out in front of you and lower your forehead to the mat. So if you can maintain your slow, steady breath here, you're probably in the right position. If you find yourself holding your breath or tensing up somewhere, you might need to come out a little bit so that the body can relax a little more. Sometimes we hold tension around the right hip to try to protect it. But as long as you haven't gone too deep into the pose, you'll get more benefit from it if you can relax the muscles around the right hip. This is a great pose for low back pain or sciatica. It can also be done on the back. I should have mentioned that before. If being upright like this is too much for the right hip. So if you're stretched out, come back to your forearms. And then once you're on your forearms, come up onto your palms again. And then we'll tuck the back toe under and lift the back knee, and you can either slide back into tabletop or right into downward dog. I'm going to show you the tabletop version. And then we'll go to the other side. So if you're in downward dog, you can just sweep that left leg forward, or you can step it up between the hands. If you're in tabletop, toe heel the foot over to the right side of the mat. Plant your palms, curl your back toe under, lift your back knee, slowly open the left hip. So the goal is to kind of bring the hip and the knee down at the same time. We don't want the knee coming down first. It's just a way to protect the hip. So let's go ahead and lower down onto the forearms if that's comfortable for you. And if you like, you can stretch the arms out, bring the forehead down to the mat. So another place you might hold tension here that is not beneficial would be around the neck and the shoulders. So notice whether you're doing that. And just try to soften as much as possible. You can use your exhales to help you do that. So it's just natural for the body to relax on an exhale, especially a long, slow exhale. Closing the eyes sometimes helps us relax. Just a few more breaths here. And then if your arms are stretched out in front of you, come back to the forearms. And come up onto the palms. Then tuck your back toe under, lift your back knee, and slowly move back into either downward dog or tabletop. If you're in downward dog, lower your knees to the mat. And then sweep your feet out from under you, take a seat on the mat. And we'll just sit cross-legged. If you were sitting cross-legged at the beginning of the practice, just notice whether this is a little more comfortable for you now. On your inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. And then as you exhale, we're going to slowly twist to the right. Bring your left hand to your right knee, your right hand behind you for support. Inhale as you lengthen your spine, open the chest a little more. And then exhale, and you might twist just a tiny bit more, maybe look over your right shoulder. And then for a nice deep neck stretch, you can start to lower your right ear towards your right shoulder. And you'll feel the muscle on the left side of your neck start to elongate. And you can even kind of play around with the position of your head. Very slowly, just noticing where this stretch feels most beneficial to you. So we're stretching a pretty long muscle. It's the sternocleidomastoid, and connects to your clavicle, your collarbone, your sternum, and then right behind your left ear. And bring your head back to a neutral position and very slowly start to unwind, and then change the cross of your legs. Opposite leg in front. On your inhale, sweep the arms overhead, lengthen through the spine. And then as you exhale, slowly twist to the left. Right hand on the left knee, left hand behind you for support. Inhale, lengthen the spine, grow nice and tall. And then exhale, twist just a little bit more, maybe looking over the left shoulder. And then if you like, you can just gently drop that left ear towards the left shoulder. Find the stretch on the right side of the neck. Still breathing slow and steady, even though the twist might be affecting the depth of the breath. When you're ready, bring the head back to a neutral position and slowly unwind out of your twist. Inhale, sweep the arms up, lengthen through the spine. And then exhale, arms down. Uncross your legs and start to lower back onto your mat for Shavasana. Stretching the legs out, setting the feet a little wider than the hips, open the arms. So take up a little space here. Let the body start to settle in. If you haven't already, turn your palms toward the ceiling, and then maybe flatten your shoulder blades out onto the mat. And that'll help the muscles around the shoulders release. And then start to take your attention to your breath.
Start to focus on your exhales. With each exhale, let the body relax and soften just a little bit more. If you have any trouble relaxing in your Shavasana, you might practice a little body scan, maybe starting at the crown of the head. Letting just a very slow wave of relaxation start to spread across the forehead, down to the eyes, nose, the mouth, the jaw, the neck, shoulders, down both arms, all the way to the tips of the fingers. Back to the shoulders. Through the chest and the upper back. Through the belly, and the lower back. The hips. The thighs. The knees. The shins and the calves. The ankles. The tops of the feet, up to the tips of the toes. And finally, the soles of the feet. Bring your awareness back to your breath. Release any areas you're still holding tension in. When you're ready, take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, roll to your right side. Slowly make your way up into a seated position. Bring your hands to heart center. Take your gaze down to your fingertips and close your eyes. Notice the effects of the practice on your body and on your mind. And maybe just take a moment to set an intention for your day, focusing on how you'd like to feel more so than what you'd like to check off your to-do list. You ready? Take a deep inhale.
And a long, slow exhale. I thank each of you for being with me this morning. Enjoy the rest of your day. Namaste.